Welcome to Reverse Mortgage Radio, hosted by Legend's very own reverse mortgage professor, Bruce Simmons. You have so many options with a reverse mortgage, everyone has a different opinion, and the government keeps changing the rules. You need to hear from the first certified reverse mortgage professional in Colorado to specialize exclusively in reverse mortgages, one of few in the state with the letters CRMP after his name. Bruce has the specific training and education you need to understand what you're buying. Now, here's your host, Bruce Simmons.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today on Reverse Mortgage Radio. Today, we're going to be talking about supplementing Social Security by using home equity to boost retirement cash flow. That's very important. Cash flow is king, as you've heard me say so many times in retirement. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. That's the most important thing that you can have in retirement. Doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're pulling money away from your principal to live, you're eventually going to run out unless you've got a lot of it, because you could end up in some kind of long-term care situation, whatever the case may be. It's best to be able to figure out a way to create income either from investments or from other work or renting a room out in your house, whatever. Cash flow is the number one thing and we're going to be talking about ways that you can use your equity in your home to help increase the cash flow. Of course, as you know, you heard this week, you get a raise if you're on Social Security. Woohoo! Oh, what's that? 2.5%? Oh, wah, wah, wah. Well, it's better than nothing, right? I mean, I remember back in like 2016 and 2016, I think, was zero. There was no cost of living adjustment on Social Security then, but in 2017, it was like 0.3%. I remember seeing some people's Social Security benefit statement, and it would show like a $16 increase, and 15 of it went to Medicare. I had a couple of people that I told them I need that Social Security statement for your reverse mortgage so I could verify your income. They said, well, it's the same as last year. We threw it away. I was like, well, I need this year's, but luckily it's not quite that bad. But the problem is that 2.5% increase is not really keeping up. As you know, if you're relying on this money, it's not keeping up with inflation. I just did a little bit of looking at things, and the cost of groceries the last 12 months has only gone up 2.3%. So that's less than the 2.5% of increase you're getting on Social Security. That's awesome, right? But then healthcare went up 3.25%, so you're taking a hit there. Electricity, 3.6% on that one. Now, natural gas only went up 2%. Basically, you're treading water at best if you're relying on Social Security. Hopefully you're not. But if you are still, maybe we can figure out a way that home equity might be able to help you out. I was looking at an article recently on CNBC. By the way, too, if you're just tuning in, you are listening to Reverse Mortgage Radio. My name is Bruce Simmons. I'm the reverse mortgage manager for American Liberty Mortgage. So obviously when I'm talking about using home equity, I'm talking about using it by tapping into the equity with a reverse mortgage. But I do reverse mortgages. That's the only loan that I've done for 21, going on 22 years now. I started January of 2003. We're approaching the end of 2024 here, so it's coming up on 22 years I've been specializing in reverse mortgages. It's funny because a lot of people say, well, that's a lot of experience. You know a lot. Well, the problem is things change in this business so much. You constantly got to keep up with what's going on, because what happened or a loan situation, a customer calls me and says, hey, this is my situation. And I think, oh, yeah, 8 years ago I could do that. But now I don't know. I got to call somebody or check the regulations to see if it makes sense now. So I'm always having to keep up with what's going on. But if you have questions about reverse mortgages, I'd love to talk with you. We can talk about your specific situation. I can run numbers for you. We can see if a reverse mortgage makes sense. It might make sense, but maybe right now you're not in the spot where you feel comfortable doing it. And that's fine, because all you're doing when you call me is gathering information. I honestly believe that if everybody knew all the details about reverse mortgages, well, not even all the details, if they knew the facts about reverse mortgages, we would be closing, as an industry, we'd be closing 10 times the amount of loans that we're doing now. We close there's 2% market penetration of people who qualify for a reverse mortgage get a reverse mortgage. And it's because they don't understand how it works. Now, luckily in Colorado, we're closer to 4% of people in Colorado, because we're a little smarter here in Colorado, I think. But it's a sad, sad fact when I'm bragging about 4% of the people who qualify for a reverse mortgage get one. It should be 40%. Because I honestly believe if people understood this, they would opt for it more often than not. So anyways, I'm going to talk about, well, before I don't want to jump ahead, let me give you my phone number. If you have questions, call me at 303-467-7821. 303-467-7821 is my direct line. You can give me a call. You can also reach me online at reversemortgageradio.net. reversemortgageradio.net. You can go there and download my consumer guide. I've got a completely free Colorado consumer guide about reverse mortgages, and that will give you probably 80% of the information you need to know if a reverse mortgage might make sense for you. Now, it won't tell you how much you can get. For that, you got to click on the button in the upper right-hand side of my website that says Reverse Mortgage Quote. Give me a little bit of information, no social security number or anything like that, but I do need a little bit of information so that this computer can calculate numbers right then. I'm not going to have to call you back and give you the number or whatever. It's not going to say, we'll have a loan officer call you back, and then you get 14 calls from 14 different companies in the next 24 hours. That's not what this is. I do not sell my information. Basically, once you fill out that information, it'll tell you how much money you qualify for, or if you even qualify, it might have a negative number. That means you can't get a reverse mortgage without bringing money to the table because you owe more on the loan than we can provide you in a new reverse mortgage. But I'll still call you to answer whatever questions you have, or you can call me after you get those numbers as well. Just be aware the closing costs that show up on that are higher than they usually are, just because for legal reasons I can't underquote things, so I always overquote the costs on that. That's the way the program is calculated. But visit me at reversemortgageradio.net. You can also listen to this entire podcast on my website as well. All right, let's jump into this. CNBC, this article that came out, they say here, the Social Security Administration on Thursday announced the cost of living adjustment will be 2.5% for 2025. When that increase goes into effect, it will be the lowest adjustment to benefits that beneficiaries have seen since 2021, when the cost of living adjustment was 1.3%. And cost of living adjustment, the acronym for that is COLA, C-O-L-A. Social Security cost of living adjustment was put into place to help benefits keep pace with inflation. That was the original goal. The problem is they keep changing the rules on how they calculate inflation to make it look better than it actually is. But anyways, what they do is they use a subset of the Consumer Price Index, known as the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. It's CPIW. CPI, Consumer Price Index for wage earners or workers, I guess. The percent increase in the CPIW from the third quarter of last year to the third quarter of this year is what determines the cost of living adjustment. As government inflation data shows, the pace of inflation has subsided. The size of the annual increase in benefit has also come down. Okay? And this just gives you an idea of what these people think sometimes. They say, this guy, senior research strategist at George Mason University, it says, it's better when the number is small because it means that inflation experienced by seniors is not as bad as it might have been. Well, come on. The problem is they don't calculate things correctly. And they talk about that in this article a little bit too, about changing the index from this CPI to something else. But anyways, they say the 25 adjustment is the lowest since 2021. In 2016, 2010, and 2011, it was zero. And they show here, it's funny because the four of the highest cost of living adjustments were, well, three of them were in 1979, 1980, and 1981. Those were 9.9, 14.3, and 11.2. Wouldn't that be nice to get that raised? But remember what inflation was back then. Inflation was higher than that adjustment. And last year, it was 8.7. But it was pretty high last year. It was very high last year. So that just gives you an idea of historically what the cost of living has been, the adjustments anyway. But they say in this article, continuing on, still for retirees and people with disabilities and other beneficiaries, the lower adjustment for 2025 comes as they continue to grapple with high costs. Duh, that's the way it is. That's a common thing, that everybody is experiencing more pain right now. And you can see too, if you look at the job numbers. Oh, the job numbers came out so great. And now the Federal Reserve is probably not going to lower the rates as much. But those job numbers are inflated by, number one, part-time workers, because part-time workers are getting higher and higher because they can't get the good paying jobs with benefits and great hours. So they have to get these part-time jobs, or they add a part-time job to a full-time job. And the other thing is, the amount of government workers spiked tremendously over the last quarter. It's tremendous how many government workers there are. And government workers actually are a drain on society because the government doesn't generate any products or add value to generate the income that they use to pay these workers with. They steal it from us. And I say steal on purpose because we don't voluntarily pay taxes, right? We only pay taxes at the end, the business end of a gun. We know that if we don't pay taxes, we're going to be in trouble. I mean, one of the years ago, I had my ID stolen. Somebody filed taxes for me and all that stuff. So every year I had to get a 4-digit code from the IRS and in order to file my taxes. If you've ever had that happen, you know. And I'd get a letter every January in my mailbox from the IRS. And my very first thought, this is years, probably 3, 4, 5 years it went on like this, just because I'm so conditioned to fear the IRS, right? And that I would look at that, I'm like, oh no, I'm getting audited. Not because I'm not worried because I don't pay my fair share. I just worry because I don't want the government, we should not fear our government, but so many people do. Anyways, that's my little rant for the day. I apologize. Let's get back to this. Now, some of the statistics on people earning Social Security. I'm just going to touch on this real quick because I want to get into the meat of the program. But in 2022, 70.6 million people received Social Security benefits, with 5.6 million new recipients. In February of 24, about 67 million people, they say, received benefits, with 4 out of 5, basically, 80% being older adults. In 2022, the average retirees received $21,900 per year in Social Security benefits, and couples with both partners receiving benefits received an average of $36,255 per year. For 37% of men and 42% of women, Social Security is 50% or more of their income. And for 12% of men and 15% of women, Social Security equals 90% or more of their income. That's a scary, scary situation. And I see it. Now, most of my customers are not in that bad of trouble. A lot of people who get reverse mortgages still have hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings, but they know that's not going to last very long, especially if they have a long-term care issue, which I don't remember the numbers, but something like 60 or 80% of people over 65 are going to need some kind of long-term care at some point in their lives. So that can be incredibly expensive, especially if you don't have long-term care insurance. In 2022, just over half of the adults aged 55 to 74 had retirement savings. That's scary too. Those people are the people that are going to be really reliant on Social Security. But then they go on, they say 42% of people 75 and over have retirement savings. So it's less people 75 and over, obviously, because they've had to spend down their money. That's what it was there for. And, a lot of people have used it all up. So that's kind of the situation we find ourselves in as Americans at this point in our lives as we retire. Too many people are reliant on Social Security. And then they go on here. I'm going to touch real quick on this other article. This one is also, I think, from CNBC. Let's see, maybe not. They talk about 72% of adults worry Social Security will run out of funding in their lifetimes. That's a new survey from Nationwide Retirement Institute. They say 23% of people do not expect to receive even a dime from Social Security benefits that they've earned. That means you've paid into it, but you're not thinking you're going to be able to pay you back. Millennials and Gen Xers, obviously, are the most concerned because baby boomers, they're all receiving the money already. And I don't think that the government has the guts, which is a good thing, to cut Social Security from people who are already receiving it. We have to cut or delay payment to people who are still paying into the system. But that's my opinion. They have here, the pessimism comes as the program's future funding status is uncertain. The trust fund program relies the trust fund the program relies on to pay retirement benefits is due to run out in 2033. At that time, just 79% of benefits will be payable. However, they say fears of Social Security benefits may dry up completely or overblown. Experts say. Anytime you read a quote and it says experts say this or that, be afraid. Be very, very afraid. Anytime you hear about the experts, what the experts think is never correct. Anyways, I don't think it's going to dry up myself. I'm no expert either. But I do think that it's going to be cut for people who have not started to receive it yet. Or I guess you can't cut it if you're not receiving it. But I think their projected benefits are going to go down. And who knows? I don't know what exactly is going to happen. But the problem is that not enough people are paying in, too many people are paying out, and it's just kind of a Ponzi scheme at this point, unfortunately. Well, by the way, too, we're talking about Social Security, but you are listening to Reverse Mortgage Radio. My name is Bruce Simmons, and you can reach me directly with any questions at all about reverse mortgages at 303-467-7821. 303-467-7821 is my direct line. You can reach me online at reach me online at reversemortgageradio.net. reversemortgageradio.net. Go there and download my consumer guide. It's completely free. It'll give you a lot of great information and dispel so many myths and misunderstandings about reverse mortgages. It's a great tool to have just to educate yourself about it. Let's talk now, though, about ways to supplement your retirement income. I mean, obviously, your own savings and things. That's part of your retirement income. You can work part-time. I don't have time to get into it, but I've got statistics here for people working over 65. Now, if you're working at a job you love, more power to you. I met with a couple this week, and the wife works from home. She's doing a job she absolutely loves. There's no reason for her to retire right now. But she's still concerned because they don't have as much in savings as they'd like, and they have a mortgage payment. And we were talking about the possibility of being able to pay off the mortgage with a reverse mortgage and have a little bit of money left over that can grow over time. So, and then if something did happen where she had to quit, do a medical issue or something like that, or she got laid off or something like that, then she has this backup plan. And in the meantime, if she wanted to, she could pay on a reverse mortgage. A reverse mortgage is simply a loan that's specifically designed for people that are 62 and over. It allows you to convert a part of the value of your home into money that you can spend. We have to pay off any existing loan that you have on your home, But as long as you or your spouse are living in the home, paying your property taxes and insurance, maintaining the home, and keeping your name on title, you never, ever, ever have to make a principal or interest payment. Like I said, you do have to pay your taxes and insurance because the house is still yours. It's still your house. You can paint it purple or add a bedroom if you want to, but it's your house. You can pay the loan off anytime you want. You can also make payments on it. And there's a lot of financial benefits to doing that because when you pay money in, depending on the type of reverse mortgage you get, that money gets moved over to a line of credit and you can draw it back out later when you need it. So if you get a reverse mortgage while you're still working, you can make payments. Say you pay in $1,000 a month, but then you want to go on vacation for a couple of months and you don't want to pay this loan. Well, you don't have to, but the money you've put into it gets set aside for you to use at a later date. And it grows as well. So you can use that when you're retired and you need that money. And it's not taxable either. So anyways, those are just some of the things. But the reverse mortgage is very beneficial for all kinds of people. It's not only for desperate people. That's the thing that drives me crazy. People say, well, I don't need it. Well, how do you know? Maybe you don't actually need it, but could you benefit from it? I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but you won't know unless you find out. Okay, you got to get the details. There's all different kinds of ways that a reverse mortgage can help people, even if you don't necessarily need it. Let's say you've got a good savings. You've got $500,000 in retirement, but you're drawing money out every month for living expenses because you have a good lifestyle and you want to continue that lifestyle. You want to continue to pay for vacations for your family or take trips for yourself, whatever the case may be. So you're pulling money from your investments. You're paying taxes on those most likely too. What if you could have money set aside in a line of credit where you just draw whenever you need from for that special trip and you don't have to pay taxes on that money? That would be a benefit. Then you can leave more money in your investments. Or let's say you're just drawing it out for living expenses because your Social Security doesn't, or other income sources don't pay for your actual living expenses. You could set up a reverse mortgage to pay you on a monthly basis. You might receive $1,000 or $2,000 a month from Social Security, and that's less money you have to take from those other investments, right? Or if you have a mortgage on your home, there's a lot of people, about 70 to 80% of people that I do reverse mortgages for, the main reason we do it is to pay off an existing loan, to get you out from under that principal and interest mortgage payment. And it might save you $800, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month. I did a loan for some people recently that they had refinanced on a 15-year term. It was a big mortgage, and their mortgage payment was over $2,300 just in principal and interest. Just by refinancing with a reverse mortgage, we were able to increase their cash flow by $2,300 a month. You don't think that made a difference in their life? You bet it did. So there's all different ways for that. You can also have that money as a line of credit to where it's just sitting there and it grows over time, and you can use that as your emergency fund. A lot of financial advisors say you should keep 6 months in emergency money that's not in the market, not at risk, or not being invested. It's not really earning anything. You're just keeping it in a money market account that might be earning 2% or something, which is better than the savings account you used to get 0.1% on, but still it's not doing what it should do. If you had it invested, you might be earning 4 or 5 or 6%. So you can keep the money in the line of credit and use that as your emergency fund. So if your furnace blows up, now you need $10,000, you've got it right there. It's easy to tap into with a line of credit. You can also use it for long-term care. Let's say you didn't need that money. Now you're 65 years old. You leave $100,000 in a line of credit. In 10 years, that might be $200,000. It grows over time. So now 20 years down the road, it's $400,000. You could tap into that to pay for long-term care needs as long as you're staying in the home. Now you can afford to pay somebody to come in and help care for you, even if they're just cooking for you or cleaning or something like that, that still costs a lot of money, or, shoveling your walk or doing the lawn. There's a lot of good things. If you have long-term care insurance that pays for that, you say, well, those premiums continually go up, right? Maybe that line of credit, or let's say we can generate this monthly deposit for you to cover the cost of that long-term care premium, the insurance premium every month. There's so many different possibilities that people just do not understand about reverse mortgages and how it can improve your cash flow and your life in retirement. I'm not being melodramatic there. I really, really believe, well, I know, I've seen it, improve people's lives in retirement. Everything from the little lady that had a small little condo in Westminster. She loved to bowl. She was on 2 bowling leagues, and we paid off her loan and gave her like an extra $200 a month. We paid off her mortgage. It generated it was about $350 extra a month for her. $350 a month. And she cried at the closing and hugged me. I mean, it was so rewarding to help her out. Just as rewarding as it was to help those people that I saved $2,300 a month for. And you got to get the details on reverse mortgages, because it just makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. Now, it may not make sense for you, but you don't know that unless you get the details. That's why I always urge people to go to my website at reversemortgageradio.net. Look at the testimonials that are there. These are actual customers that I've done loans for. You can go to reversemortgage.org, which is the reverse mortgage site for the National Reverse Mortgage Lenders Association. Yeah, we have our own Lenders Association as well. You can use a reverse mortgage also to convert, to pay the taxes when you convert an IRA to a Roth IRA. There's deep financial planning things. You can use it to buy a new home and get in a perfect home for you if you're not in the right home now. Use a reverse mortgage to buy a new home that does fit your needs and not have a mortgage payment. And you still have to pay your taxes and insurance, of course. But if you have any questions about reverse mortgages, because we touched on so many things here today, please call me at 303-467-7821. That number rings directly to me. It actually goes to a landline that's in my office in my house, and that's forwarded to my cell phone. I have an office in Denver that I go to and I work out of most of the time. But a lot of times, too, I'm out visiting people, because I'll come to you and meet with you and your family and go over all the numbers with you. I always make sure you understand how the program works, because that's the most important part. My customers do not call me back and tell me they've regretted doing the loan, because they understand it going into it. And they understand the pros as well as the cons. And I always try to make sure people understand everything with reverse mortgages. But you can call me at 303-467-7821 or visit me online at reversemortgageradio.net. On there, you can download my consumer guide. And you can also, if you want to get a quote, find out how much money you can get. I don't check your credit. I don't need to put your social security number or anything like that. But in the upper right-hand part of the site, click on Get a Free Quote or something like that. And you can put in very basic information, your address, your mortgage amount, the value of your home, your age, I think is about all we need. And it'll give you numbers right there, as you don't have to wait for me to call you back or any of that stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to talking with you at some point down the road when you're ready to learn about reverse mortgages. Have a great day.
Call Bruce Simmons today. Ask about his free Colorado Consumer Guide, 303-467-7821 or reversemortgageradio.net. Bruce will come to you anywhere across the Front Range to make sure you understand how reverse mortgages work. Regulated by DORA, NMLS number 409914. American Liberty Mortgage is an equal housing lender.